Yeah, okay.
Test email sent.
That was powerful.
I got it.
Got it? Do this thing. Now we're going to test.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Alright, we'll send the
Still there. Are y'all recording?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's it.
Camera's right this one.
So cute. Alright.
Everyone good for me to send the 1 and C?
Yeah, let's go and roll. We all want to sleep tonight.
Plan.
Wait, are y'all good? Send 1 and C?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sent. Two sheets.
Okay, this will be fun.
Everyone got it?
No.
Yeah, let me know.
Wait, I got it. Let me switch. Let me separate my sheets.
For sure. I see y'all also have the king and other side.
Yeah, that's the one with my Jesuit timer. I never got it back.
Okay. Wait. Let me soak it up, and I'll be good. Okay. I'm good.
The news, you good?
Yep.
Panel? Sit. First off is hypo-testing interpretation in public forum when the negative is the team that speaks first. The burden of the negative is to disprove the desirability of the resolution. Anything else destroys clashing education by allowing the F to speak second and move the office by either reading a specific plain text or reading a KFN does not affirm the res is magnified by the breaking new and not disclosing. Next off is the critique. Nuclear energy is a technique for it sanitizes energy, imperialism, and environmental destruction. Claims to socially and ecologically safe nuclear energy are epistemologically just burden totally set. Energy requires energy regimes account of euphoric technological vision of energy for a service and ethical optimism nuclear promise of magnifying energy demand promise is made to realizing millions of reactors on our energy regime powers nuclear weaponry is a product promises pursued with a public examination increase energy to reduce overall economic supporters derail evaluation social and ecological performance with work as a powerful future ideal as used from the regard as a working organ which promises every material advantage on the condition society is only what the regime is going to offer concessions over developments that permit extraction and concession greater quantities of energy are many modern overhead what lies behind the bottom of whales are increasingly found among the most vulnerable. There's a need to deliver to sacrifice more energy nuclear energy is the most potent examples of the technological authoritarianism and technology we're future facing the technical advance to provide access to free electricity there are significant social implications of nuclear realistic energy future massive uranium must be trying to jeopardize that we're going to look at these waste with half us doing 100,000 years have to be buried stay free operating longer than be since the epochal imagination maybe regardless of explosive bodies surely stuff in nuclearity reproduces perpetual crisis in the form of accidents dumping mining and testing, managing the risk of nuclear results of biological catastrophes. Luke 18. Nuclear energy is dual over nature and empowerment to all ways making offending but days and tell our movies not safety Hiroshima Nagasaki the message that we bring for guys family not play control of the crazy crisis begin the ultimate ratio turns a whole piece of managed by and maintained by the concept of what the of atomic catastrophe preventing death racial perpetuate state new system of capable of containing social change and condition measure of technical science induces a contradictory dynamic of stasis of nuclear which feels like overshot by crisis nuclear is a complex technical politically discursively and practically impacts the use of everyday life rather than methods of geopolitical confrontation continues can be rebalance nuclear weapons is apocalyptic extraordinary or unfathomable devastating nuclear energy is safe as normal or obvious universality in life such as the nuclear refers great power politics over this nuclear condition mixed by the structure of subject of nuclear thermonuclear catastrophe sensor and nuclear disaster visibility and non-eligibility characteristics of dumps and loss of reaction and radiation damage nuclear is catastrophic but politics that any loss of addition immediately triggered by a political catastrophe nuclear catastrophe does require sufficient means of destruction such as decisive and each releasing as an indivisible nuclear such action to trigger crisis nuclear destruction outcomes of the prior crisis and suppressing other parts of the day to a last apocalypse and indifference of actual causes from the state of exception nuclear energy exception locks in global devastation war and environmental collapse. Coast 20. Nuclear power offers subject to sublime weaponry and subject for sublime energy creating energy the key commodity that affects the value of communities and other sectors and privilege of war for by the states of national economy. And of course, if sovereignty was reserved, not use and reclaim the design of developing nuclear technology to produce weapons. Use no restrictions to end such monopolization of the pivotal role of atomic power and control and economy misery. My Lord's mind atomic expansion, nuclear exceptionally sad work in international power relations. And nuclear is always a competition in virtual war or real war among the cells of nuclear production period. The threat of power colonialism appears supposed colonial contestation, global relation, global capitalist regime with different rules are different territories. Next to nuclear production, nuclear regime is reaching and even housing a new role. Mining states testing such wars as bombed, but during the pollution from nuclear from power plants, factories, and dump testing regime, feeds up by an accident nuclear production, globally regime utilizing catastrophic situation to maintain a role. The alternative is to reject the affirmative investment in nuclear energy and instead reaffirm practice by anti-colonial, anti-nuclear resistance. This shifts away from paradigm of nuclear subjectivity and moves towards a political ecology that engages in resisting the remembering. Schwab 20. Uranium mining devastates the integrity of nuclear and ecological colonialism and racism and use that nuclear power and exchange for race or basic economy of destruction, singular power, or to nuclear power from the earth as labor and nuclear power can derive, and zero limited modification pursue eliminating extraction of resources from bodies in the earth as well. Trade peace to apply to nuclear politics of the freedom of the nuclear power, so which is doubly acquiring capacity separate from self-assessment to nuclear politics generates the emergence of new using outside life is marked by numbing short to nuclear storm and is inseparable from the short resistance and short system of farmers of any kind of race and its economic underpinnings happens are no final discussion nuclear civil rights cannot be derived from the short nuclear saturation and nuclear survive colonialism. Mark that last card at back to colonialism.
Yeah, can we take books, bro?
Yeah.
Can you give us the links to the books or a way to access the books?
Yeah.
Like every single one as well.
Yep. What's going on in the chat?
Let me know when.
Yeah, he's sending it.
He's coming in image for some reason, so I have to like copy it into my
Yeah.
Chrome.
Yeah. Whatever you have to do is cool as long as you can send it.
So NEC rules give us the whole day.
That's true.
We're gonna take maybe 3 minutes.
Hey, last one. Sent.
First one is 404, page not found. So can I get that again, please?
Yeah. Well, I should have the DOI in there too.
I don't know what that means. I just can't get it.
Oh yeah, the reason it's 404 is because it has the DOI included in it. If you just stop if you just delete the part after the word
It
Discord,
says
it
I
works.
have to wait 330 seconds to download the file.
Well,
I
Dynasty
mean,
rules say we have a day.
It is
so I don't
also an
really
entire
want it.
book, like.
Okay. Can we have the 330 seconds?
As long as you're not
He
drunk,
said
I
like,
guess.
Wait, what do I do with the first?
like
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
go to the first one. Yeah, here it's gonna be really cute.
I just hit download full PDF and it's downloaded for me. So
It doesn't even give me the option.
So we're gonna delete because it had the DOI number included, and so then when we enter, boom, success.
Alright, I'm gonna restart books, bro. It disproves the desirability of the resolution, just saying we weigh the benefits versus harms versus desirability something else.
Is the resolution good or bad? I.e., is USFG investment in nuclear energy a good or bad?
All it's saying is the NEG has to answer
Yeah.
the resolution. You can't like read a plan or a
No.
KF and be like, haha, you don't link because we're not the regs.
You're
We
good.
already stopped time.
How many sheets?
Do y'all take a separate sheet for each
Separate sheet for
advantage?
every argument.
Yeah.
Like 3.
400, dude. The
400
time,
sheets.
The time went up
Oh.
to get this PDF. 3.
Okay.
Well, if you already had 1, 2 more, I
Okay.
guess. It'll just be 3 contention.
Yeah, got fire.
Sorry. Yeah.
No, you're good.
Give me a second. The time keeps resetting.
It's fine.
This reminds me of my Xbox whenever I try to download a game. Slowly go up in time to download.
I'll say. Preference on how we send it?
Word doc, please.
Okay. I'll take the Terrence extra second.
It's worth the wait. Judges now.
Alright, it's called on title document.
Fine. As long as the cards are there, I don't care what it's
all
titled.
yeah. So, let us load them in.
Will do.
Oh, it's a PDF.
Oh, wait, like, I guess there'll be like a 3-second response at the top that you can flow like other K, I guess.
On the critique.
Yeah.
Okay. So okay.
First or second?
Sorry.
Are you starting with that?
It'll be the 3-second response on the K, then case.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Fine. This better be a very good 3 seconds, or I will be upset.
So wait, you got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, let me open.
The 3-second thing's not in there.
That's fine. Alright, you.
Oh, wait, sorry. New response to the second rebuttal, nothing in the case that we did in case. C1 to shift the Indo-Pacific key form, pulse 3-4. China the Indo-Pacific aggressively expanding naval capabilities undermining balance of power, nuclear propulsion allows China's Navy to operate longer. Washington required adjustments focused on unmanned systems. China's ahead now, that's Chopra, 328. China boasts largest Navy, China's shipbuilding capacity many times higher than the US larger fleet, won 25 of 28 wars, affirming Saul's warning key, 25. Vessel rebuilt by SMR catalyst for US shipbuilding, nuclear could be US secret weapon, we need to invest. Mad Thumb's nuclear use chain to survival is preferred to guarantee regime loss. New options are emerging, that's MW, 20. Navy's fleet rise to 500 unmanned warships, significantly cheaper to build and operate nuclear submarines. Viability question will short a major increase in budget that bridges the gap low, 23. To deter the Indo-Pacific Navy needs force multiplying systems on main vessels, create network fleet that's more resilient, readily available, produce in shorter time. Like a strong Navy is key. DMV 25. Pacific fleet disparity and power China to Australian missions action remote with accuracy and response. Navy must establish a larger presence to manage maritime. The brink is now settled. 23. Top Pacific Arena She will order military action to consolidate even 2025. That causes drawing Heath 22. U.S. China conflict persists for years, fighting conducted through partner nations, non-state groups, Chinese missiles strike throughout Indo-Pacific. C2's umbrellas. The U.S. nuclear umbrella is failing like Dodge 24. Relying on anti-top great risk of failure in the United States is less committed to deterrence, plutonium pits, critical to modernization, and NNSA currently cannot produce at scale. Modernization efforts are underway, that's Keating 25. Russia rejected Utah's China little avail, arms control is dead. U.S. submits of $1.5 trillion effort upgrades for the nuclear triad. We aren't moving fast enough, Spalding 24. NNSA produced warhead-ready pit first time in decades despite difficulties making progress. Quota of 80 per year remains impossible to meet. Investment solves as Livermore of 7. With the name of liquid of nuclear energy Saudi byproduct from uranium, engineers find methods to expose, reduce nuclear waste using proliferation resistant technologies, production skills up, Gal 25. 450 assets at NNSA rated 60% insufficient plan and twisted infrastructure subject to budgetary constraints, continuing resolutions, create uncertainty about which project will be funded. The brink is now, that's Bradley 24. Assuring all is imperative for non-proliferation must commit to modernization, any delay result in risk nuclear capabilities necessary for deterrence. Otherwise, proliferation is imminent. Spec 317. Japan and South Korea pursue weapons of conflict, geosecurity, aerospace with China, North Korea, Taiwan, tensions out, Saudi Arabia, seeing nuclear arms drinking recently. Attractive option, Polish already signal interest. Proxy wars would ensue. Mumford 17. Proxy war for immune deterrence, nuclear promote irregular forms of conflict, proxy war, found in perception of risk involved in direct intervention. It's detrimental to de-escalatory measures. That's French 18. Allied fear abandonment responded by hedging to demonstrate resolve on efforts to prevent escalatory spiral. China believe an ally acting on behalf of the U.S. heightened risk of war. Skip the next two cards. Go to C3 for now. C3's warming. We are solving warming now. This conference 3.8. Wars on track to 1.5 Celsius upper limit to avoid climate change. Emissions must drop 7.6% per year. Efforts are insufficient. Spitsky 3.4. U.S. leadership to reverse NC stance of greenhouse gas pose a threat undermined decades of research. Part of efforts to cut funding for climate. Nuclear can scale up. That's REM 22. Solar wind renewability problems to research limits. Nuclear technology provides 9,000 years of energy. Legacy waste become fuel. 3 links. 1. Either it solves better than renewables. Grossly 24. Nuclear needs for your materials and land is wind and solar are pro cost made a difficult government needs to shoulder high cost or it complements renewables. Plumber to 11. To combat climate change, nuclear power provide consistent electricity when it's solar intermittent. Nuclear produces a full power crucial complement to renewable solar and wind challenges such as overcapacity, price pressure, and slowing demand. That solves warming. NPR 22. Renewable power don't allow nuclear power to flood the gap between transition to reduce emissions and save off warming. 2. It trades off with fossil fuels. Sweden proves. Book 15. Nuclear power brought online 1972, 1986. Having to have electrical output gain from nuclear emissions lost by 75%. Most power installation in history. Fossil plants dropped 40%, but not with renewables. McGee 22. Renewables do not displace fossil fuels. Infrastructure bad dependency. Insulated fossil fuel from competition. Fossil fuels cause warming. CSR around no date. Fossil fuels make large contribution to climate change. 90% of emissions from burning is the most probable extinction threat. McDonald. 19. Nuclear winters based on shaky evidence or reliable model. Humans already detonated nuclear devices. Nuclear war is not an extinction event. Warming is. Third link is it creates international competition. Source 21. American policy drive climate progress. Spring reciprocal for reduction. 10% evolution. United States reduced resulted in foreign nations to reduce emissions by 6 tons. Warming shows all impacts. Character 22. Global warming resulting in possibly disaster. Catastrophic even at modest levels played a role in every extinction event. Tipping points where small rise in temperature results in big change in climate trigger cascade cause 8 degrees Celsius warming rate triggers catastrophic risk, wars, pandemics, popular lack of water, and scalar appears. 23. Every 0.1 degree of warming causes 100 million deaths. Go back to the stuff on CC2. Moreover, modernization increases arms control as cost. So 21. Arms control incorporated Russia and China most factor modernization keys leverage modernization pressure states to participate in negotiations. That's key. NYC 23. Arms control talks about nuclear commentator Chinese anticipation of the U.S. Russian spin unbreakable points of tension. SES Taiwan Ukraine nuclear program trigger global crisis. I read everything. It's just that I got to the impact scenario on C2 at the bottom.
Okay, yeah, you're
So no cards marked, correct?
No cards were marked. I guess no cards were marked.
Okay, that's fine. You good?
Wait, give me 1 sec.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I might have read. Yeah. I'm good.
Good.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Okay. Does the 1AC think it is meet a modeling claim, i.e., like we export our nuclear technologies globally?
Let me. Do we export our nuclear technologies globally?
Yes.
No, we encourage countries to compete.
Okay, how do you encourage countries to compete if you only invest domestically and you haven't made a modeling claim?
Well, it doesn't have to be modeling, like competition
Well, like
can be
what's
independent of modeling. Our Sarinsky evidence indicates that other countries also do climate progress, the United States does it. Reason this could be is because they also want to gain hegemonic power, they want to make progress in markets in order to make money. It doesn't have to be that the US is a model. Our evidence is specifically tagged and creates international competition. I'll take a question.
Sure.
Can you explain this K to me card by card?
Nuclear energy is bad.
Wait, I said
Here,
card
yeah,
by
I'll go
card.
card by card. I got
Or is that the whole K?
I mean, that's what the
then-
critique
then-
says.
Then card by card.
Yeah, we can explain it. So the very first card talks about nuclear energy and how it's used as a distraction to hide the harms of nuclear. It's used as a distraction. We're trying to separate. Nuclear energy is so clean and safe and perfect and yay, it's great.
Okay, so it's like a-
but
it's like a
nuclear,
ruse.
what?
It's like a ruse.
It's like a ruse. It's like we're claiming nuclear
that's
energy is
what the
safe, but
first
in
card
reality it's not,
Yeah.
and it has so many unforeseen effects. Then you have other cards like Luke 18, which talks a lot about how nuclearity means that we are hiding and have invisible harms. It talks about how we use people as stepping stones. We don't show the harms of uranium mining, how it's killing people, how we have hidden sites, we have hidden reactor leaks that aren't publicized, and we are viewing the people who are suffering as stepping stones, necessary sacrifices in order to fuel the empire of nuclear energy, and that is violent and wrong. The third card, Conso 20, is very great here. It talks about two key things. The first is how nuclear energy is used to create a totalitarian state, how nuclear energy controls every single sector. And so when we're scaling up nuclear energy, we are increasing government control over every single industry, every single part of the economy, every single part of our world. And in doing so, we are able to create a nuclear exception where, nuclear energy is so clean and safe, ignore everything we're doing. Now the government has control, and they use that to export violence to the global south, where they're viewing people in the global south as objects to create their energy, to expand their empire. It also talks a lot about war, how we're using nuclear energy as a guise to actually increase our military. This is proven by your own contentions. We're on your second contention. You're talking about
I
nukes
should
and all
the
those
explanation,
things.
not the link.
Okay,
Made links.
it's used to prevent military technology that's
I
hidden in
just have one line
interventionary wars.
Wait,
and
I just have one line quick follow up. Who's we? You said we a lot. Who's we? Like we hide over nuclear energy. We create a ruse. Who's we?
Society as it exists right now in the world that does not have the.
Wait,
it's,
why does society have to
you.
include all
It's
that?
it's
Well,
you.
wait,
The way
I
you
personally
exist is
commit
part of society.
exceptionalism to go and kill indigenous.
The way that you are advocating for nuclear energy is violent. That is what we are saying, especially when your second contention is, hey, did you know nukes are aging?
Oh,
That's
so-
bad. We want effective nukes so we can bomb people. Yeah,
to be clear,
US, baby.
To be clear, the AFF was violent.
We are saying that nuclear energy is violent.
Epistemological
Epistemological
underpinnings of the
yes.
AFF.
The way you represent nuclear
yeah,
energy
that's
is
fine.
violent. Correct. Do you need yeah, let's go for it.
Okay, 3 minutes starting now.
2 of 5.
Alright.
Oh, that was me. I apologize.
Oh, yeah. It's,
It was for dramatic effect. I
yeah.
have to make sure I have your attention. No, you're good.
Brett, are you reading cake, right?
Yeah, there's a card. Okay.
Okay. Alright, so you send the card.
Yeah,
I'm sending also.
He's sending it. It's gonna be K, and then the app. Okay.
Yeah, what's your worst
4 minutes.
What is the order?
K, app.
20 C straight.
Yeah, app order is read.
Okay, so when C's been sent. Alright, we'll let you know when you get it.
Yeah. We're gonna finish the alt. That card was already sent. It's just the highlight price I didn't read.
Wait, sorry, say that.
Oh, wait.
Like the alt card that my partner marked, I'm just gonna finish it. But you already have the exact words I'm reading in the card and everything.
Is
So
that
I
the only
figured.
piece of evidence?
No,
That's
I'm
the
just,
only piece of
like I'm letting you
okay.
know
Oh,
when I
That's the only
I
stuff
get
on
it.
the cat.
when I'm clearly reading a card and you're like, I don't have this card. I'm just finishing the alt. It's all good.
Thank you.
Let me know once I read it.
Alright, give me a second to open it up.
Wait, sorry, what was the order?
K,
Okay,
app.
20 C straight down.
I will signpost. I'll try to be clear.
Wait, one sec.
I'll spread
Wait,
it comprehensively.
So the authoritarian bargain DA that Brandon told me is you finishing the alt.
I'm finishing the alt. No, that's different from the card that was sent.
This is more stuff. He's gonna finish the old card that was already sent
Oh,
and then start.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's first.
Yes, that's first. Second, but yes.
Oh, wait, sorry. What's the order?
The alt. It's the K. I will signpost. I promise. I promise you everything I'm doing. I will make it very clear. If not, you can slap me. I'll probably cry, but we'll all be happy in the end. All right. Is anybody not ready? All right. On the K, they get new answers to the K proper, but not new theory violations. Establishing in the speech after the violation is key to fairness and education because you can sandbag your best offense and make it impossible for the summer to respond. Then let's finish the alt card. And imperialism systematically refusal to separate these issues and embrace a political ecology that saw the international entanglement of fight against racism, colonialism, and imperialism as fight against nuclear, military, industrial complex highlights racism at the heart of anti-nuclear of nuclear necropolitics and sits to revive memory of the politics anti-nuclear movements to fight the amnesia around nuclear politics, returning to anti-nuclear resistance for developing a critical nuclear race theory to fight against nuclear necropolitics and intransmissible from the other struggles against violence and oppression. Then, nuclear power is the empiric new frontier, the app of the utopian imagination of limitless energy that veils a global regime of biopolitical management that unleashes uneven and radicalized nuclear violence. That outweighs the app because nuclearity necessitates global sacrifice zones that create invisible nuclear subjects that have been categorically designated as dead by the empire. You should value this first usage because it's a question of morality. Even though 100% risk of case relies on total ecological devastation and endless global war. That was Koso from case, which is immoral to the firm even if they win their entire case. And evaluation of nuclear ontology is a prior question to the desirability of the plan. It creates assumptions, discourse, worldviews that set parameter for how we think, act, and prioritize value, which all prefigure plan implementation. And our interpretation of the affirmative is an object of research. The K is logically prior to the effects of the plan. Methods for accuracy constructions fill up, but individual apps don't. Even if the plan is desirable on a broader level, the pro-nuclear energy approach embraces structure that cannot incorporate reforms necessary to stop cycles of market expansion and radioactive contamination. That means even if they drop or kick an advantage, we still have links off that advantage because it's the nuclear, it's like the research practice. If they read it, they should be prepared to defend it. They have conducted bad research.
Skip the card, go to shipping.
Okay. Skip the card, I guess. We're going shipping. SMRs are expensive. RF accounts for economics of scale. Lemon 24. SMRs not more economic than large reactors, have lower generating capacity, produce more expensive electricity. Mass production, cost reduction is not exceed 30%. Even if the government believes SMRs are a sham. BNI to 19. No company or government is considering building massive SMRs. No indication the U.S. will subsidize industry. I'm not going to read Walsh. Also, like, this is an example of decay. They are, SMRs are so great and awesome. Let's put them on Navy ships. And we're taking everything energy and we are applying it to the military. so that we can stop China, whatever it is. In reality, it's just a vague so that we can do endless interference in wars and kill indigenous people. I'm pro-life. Let's get a few quotes here. Relying on aging stockpile increase the risk of failure. Signal that United States is less committed to deterrence. U.S. in the midst of 1.5 trillion effort upgrades for a nuclear triad. These are direct quotes showing how they are advocating for the increase of nuclear weapons and other military technology that are destructive and perpetuate war and inequality. And the U.S. is already leading in nuclear energy. Bomber 24, U.S. government helps nuclear energy catch up. We ramped up activities to enable industry to pave road for advanced technologies, bringing leadership to our waiting list. U.S. program infrastructure under the highest standards. There's huge demand. No some countries want to proliferate. They'll always buy it from Russia and China, so leadership can't solve. We're not reading the Middle 24. Then, Mormon. Touting the necessity of nuclear power to resolve impending climate change, institutionalize unending nuclear violence. Car 11. Issues with mining, construction, maintenance, decommissioned water coolant, radioactive waste are being held as subsidiary to the threat of climate change. The urgency empowers the nuclear state of exception. The state operates under the guise of security. Nuclear industries play a key part in security policies. The mode of governance is accompanied by risk in human and environmental to propel states towards authoritarianism. Such measures will be made necessary by the necessity of providing permanent protection for endangered energy and nuclear industry in permanent state of emergency, benefited by justified by a permanent threat. Surveillance and criminalization of critics and imposition of nuclear state handled with multinational cooperation from the nuclear colonialization. Yeah, that's the card there. Warming will be gradually cushioned by inevitable immediate mitigation. Weight 21. Plausible risks are exaggerated. We're going to extinct doomsday. Models have built-in bias to exaggerate rate of temperature rise as seen in hindcasting risks several times faster than observed. Forecasts to say worst-case scenarios are likely. Scientists have been making catastrophic forecasts for decades. That it comes without catastrophe. On the next, writers know catastrophe forecast gets clicks. Models used for accuracy reports are predictions. They do not include natural variability. They do not. Poor job of stimulant decadal scale variability. And the next decade, we will make progress in decoupling from growth with state directing, setting, innovation, transformations are already underway. Vast new investments will intensify them. Trump dumps it, withdrawals from institutions, meaning that we're not actually going to solve climate change against all guys under the solving for climate change to actually advocate for nuclear policies like refurbishing our literal nukes.
Okay, my bad. Updated 2 and C's. Also, the stuff at the very top, the AFF research project, etc., was all lost.
I'm sure.
They don't seem to be read on the paper.
Hey, I have a lot written on my paper. You don't know about that.
If you have analytics,
your last
stuff
time.
To quote the esteemed Michael Ross, rest just.
I don't know how Michael Ross is team.
You know, for all you know, it's off my head. Yeah, I'm replying. I'm just gonna throw it in the body of the email if that's okay with everyone, because there's no cards. Yeah, we all good. Great.
So the only analytics you read were no solvency. The country wanted to proliferate. That was the only analytic to proliferate.
For prolif?
Yeah.
Is this prep time?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, great. The only analytic was if countries want to prolif, they'll always buy from Russia and China, so leadership cancels.
Okay, and then can you tell me your reasons why the K came to come to fourth case?
Yeah, so there are numerous in what I just sent you. The first is that regardless of if the AFF is true and solves for the issues, there is a moral dilemma when you're viewing indigenous peoples as stepping stones and justified violence. That we're able to kill these people when we extract minerals and all these other things because it helps the state as a whole. The next reason is like Empire's a new frontier. It's like an imagination of limitless energy that's actually hiding our biopolitical management and how we're trying to like use uneven bias and control the world through a totalitarian state. Then we talk about how like sacrifice zones that I already told you were designated people as dead because they helped the empire. It's a question of like morality. I already said that one. Evaluation of nuclear intelligence prior to question because it like shapes how we have discourse around this and sets parameters for how we think and informs our plan implementation for how the act is actually carried out. There's also like logical like object of research. You should be able to defend that your research is good and moral.
Alright, 39 plus 13, 52 is the total amount of flex prep that we've taken.
Sure.
Actually, wait, did I make anything different? I might have it wrong.
You did.
No, 52. Yeah, 52. Alright, we'll take back. Okay, 21 more. 113.
There.
Yeah. There's gonna be one piece of let me read it. There's gonna be one piece of evidence I read as a front line or like an add-on to case, and then all the other evidence will be.
Okay. Alright.
What's the other?
I guess it'll be like the implications of the K. So like the moral stuff, and then it'll be the case, and then it'll be the K proper. So I guess it'll be like the weighing of why the K comes first, and then our case, and then the K. They're all signposted, and I'll try to be quick.
So just like after the K.
You guys get it?
No.
I might not follow the full order of the doc, but I'll signpost and it'll be clear what happens.
Sure.
Yeah, as long as the cards are there, we're good.
Yeah, we just send it again to be safe. So mine's
Yeah.
I still haven't got it.
yeah.
Either.
Oh, I just got it.
Ooh, there it is. Alright, yeah.
Let me open the full thing.
There's that whole thing. I thought the same thing. You.
Here. Is anyone not ready? On the weighing implications, we can group them because there are arguments that we are morally corrupt, but our impact, we have purposely not read extinction debate. We have read that, for example, if nuclear countries proliferate, they're more likely to engage in proxy wars, which is bad because whenever we engage in proxy wars in developing countries, we rely on authoritarian regimes that use things like child soldiers, or also that use people who are oppressed and try to enlist them in our military, which means our arguments are morally good. Even if they're right that there's a trade-off we have to make, we will say that if we can prove the ends justify the means, if we can prove we outweigh, because it is their own off that says they have to prove the negative is good or bad, then that means we are morally corrupt. Second thing I want to know, if they can't read a blanket indictment, if we have evidence that posted or read empirics, it disproves the K because the empiric actually happened. And even if the K is true, it's not mutually exclusive. It can be true that we have trade-offs in their world, but it can also be true that our arguments happen, which means if we win a risk of our link happening, this is a weighing debate about what is more important. On case proper. Their responses, okay. First, we will go for C1. Their only response is we can't export SMRs. SMRs was not the link. They have conceded that we invest in UUV technology, which is one of our evidence is cheaper and faster, which disproves the link. Second, we will preempt any cross-up from the K because the WISE evidence, WISE 24 says that since 2012, only 12% of China's coercive acts were preceded by hostile foreign moves, while 88% were opportunistic against vulnerable actors, which means our uniqueness has empirical probability because China attacked when they're unprovoked, which means it is try or die because war will happen, in the status quo, and the only way to prevent is through the UUV link itself. That link is clean. Second link we will go for is our argument about prolif. The responses are not responsive. Okay, first response is that we can do it other ways. No, they can see the uniqueness that says we're aging right now, which means we can't do it other ways. They also say we can get it from Russia and China. No, we can't. They've conceded that allies don't want to proliferate, but they only proliferate whenever they feel scared, which means even if they're right, they can't proliferate, they feel scared. It proves our argument that whenever they proliferate, they're able to do proxy wars, which is a bad thing. On climate, we will go for climate. We will agree that you can mitigate it to some. We will agree that you can mitigate it to some extent, which probably zeroes any offense that is on the climate debate itself. Okay, 1 second, my dot closed. Okay, yeah, really quick. Also on. Oh yeah, they say U.S. already leading in nuclear energy on Poland, but our uniqueness says we don't have enough hits. The link evidence says we have 5 when one facility is producing 30, which means we need more nuclear energy because our link is definitely scalar to prove that we are more committed. Okay. On the K itself, first, on the evidence that says safety is suspect, the EPA, right, in 2023, writes the probability of meltdown was calculated to be 5 times 10 to negative 3. On our evidence posted their epistemological evidence, which means it was impossible for their evidence to indict ours, which means our evidence is true unless they have a specific indict that is read. 2, Comca writes that SMR can't melt down. The NRC agreed that any emergencies won't even get past the fence. You can't just stand there. Their frontline will now be we are epistemologically suspect, but if the technology physically cannot melt down, that is not a mindset thing, that is a fact that is objective and true, which disproves the link to the K. On the K proper, 1, We will say that any form of energy uses natives or indigenous people as mining is a stepping stone, which means it's non-unique. Which means non-unique. For example, whenever we mine for fossil fuels, we also do this. And their evidence says that government control over energy is what causes the sink into capitalism. But government always controls energy in both worlds. Brady 25 writes that in issuing the order for emergency declaration, Trump said insufficient energy production constitutes a threat, but Trump left out wind and solar. Trump wants to deploy more oil drilling rigs, build more pipelines, and bring more power plants onto the grid, which means in their world the government still controls it, which is non-unique. So this is damning because their COSO evidence says that any form of energy demand causes their arguments to happen, but at least nuclear energy has the benefits we talk about. And the government always has incentive to try to control energy because they want to look like they're helping the people, so they do things like pass subsidies or provide energy to people who need it. This means that if I can prove to you that nuclear is any times better for waste than renewable energy, then we win the round because using indigenous people as stepping stones is worse in their world. This is bad because from case they can see the evidence that we can recycle uranium waste. They're linking to hurting a lot of indigenous people with waste itself, but it's a conceded spike in case. The second link they will go for is mining, but Thomas 23 writes that 15 billions of tons of fossils are mined, 535 times more mining than clean energy economy, and second Brooke writes that nuclear. Okay, that's fine.
Give us a mark.
That's just one card, actually. Is that fine?
What card was it?
The Brady 25, right?
Yeah.
You didn't read
No,
that?
no,
he
no,
didn't
No,
read
but
that
you
one.
did right now. Wait, no, it was the Brooke.
Yeah.
Okay, did
gotcha.
you mark any cards in the middle? Okay, sit.
I'll tell you.
Alright.
Okay, good for cross-checks?
Yeah.
Okay, I just have one question. Shipping, you said your link is not SMRs. The Wierenski 25 evidence says vessels propelled by SMRs in shipbuilding. How
Wait, we're
would
not
that
going for
make
the
sense?
ship though, I'm going for UUVs. Okay, I'm gonna take a question.
Okay.
Okay.
If you have to prove that the neg is good or bad, you also have to defend the status quo, no?
No.
Why?
Well, we have an alt. You have not contested that alt.
Wait, it doesn't matter. Wait,
It does.
but you say you can't just derive a plan and you're off, which means you have to defend the entirety of the resolution. So you have to defend the entire neg world, or what happens if we don't do nuclear energy?
So, one, the hypo-testing alt that no one extended or said anything, alt says is the negative just has to derive links from the resolution. All that is saying is it makes sure that the AFF cannot read a brand new AFF with a plan that gets out of all neg office, or can't read a AFF, it's not top.
Like we did to AB
wait,
the
wait,
wrap-up.
wait.
It's a difference because we are first and you are second. You know, the moment we read, we give our speech, you know what we're saying, you know what we're defending. We disclosed this case before. The difference with what the off we read is specific to when neg is first, links are just resolution. Otherwise, you can read a plan or a non-typical KF and the entire first speech does not exist.
It's fine. How do you prove the desirability of the resolution if we are saying it is
We
probable?
did.
We prove that the resolution is not desirable, that's the entire K.
Wait, yeah, but then you have to defend the entirety of that resolution.
The AFF defends the resolution. All we have to say is the resolution is a bad thing. We have done that.
Wait, yeah,
That's the K.
in order to prove it is bad, you have to prove your world would be better. But
Yes,
we've made
our
arguments
world is
that
the alternative.
Yeah, wait, we made arguments that your world, the alternative is we do things like fossil fuels, which is proven.
That is
as
not the
well.
alternative. Okay. So the very last card that we read in the K is very good here.
Okay.
The alternative is that instead of investing in nuclear energy, we reaffirm a praxis of anti-nuclear resistance. Basically, we recognize the same way that indigenous movements and civil rights movements of the past viewed anti-nuclear movements at the same time, we bring that back. So we are starting movements that
But
are
we can't do
anti-nuclear. Yes, we
We
can.
are saying,
That's
we are saying the
goal.
resolution is desirable because we do things like less renewable and less fossil
Right.
fuels, which are what causes
All of our
climate
links
change.
and the theory of power is why the resolution is not desirable, and then we advance
this,
an
this is
alternative.
debate, right? Like, obviously, you will read arguments as to why the resolution is not
I
desirable.
don't
You also
understand
think
what
there's
this
other
question is
arguments.
trying to accomplish.
That
We have an alt.
You have to
That's what we're
defend the
defending.
fact that there's also a trade-off that occurs. If we do
There,
nuclear, we do
in the
less
world of the
renewable.
alternative, there is not a trade-off. Would you like me to explain why there's
Yeah.
not?
The alt is
Okay.
literally rejecting materially and epistemologically nuclear energy. That does not mean that
So,
everybody goes to fossil
Basically,
fuels.
when we reject nuclear and reject government control of energy through movements that are anti-nuclear, we are shifting the world to give energy back to small groups. So it's basically, instead of one massive community, it's a bunch of smaller communities that are doing energy on their own needs. That way they don't have this massive demand to fund the entire economy or anything else. We are rejecting centralized models of energy development and starting movements against this. That is the alternative that has gone uncontested throughout the entire round. Alright. We have prep time. 3. How much? Just look like.
We have 205.
Okay. Starting running prep now.
34 left.
Not bad.
It's
I can't count this. You got that. Okay. Okay. Order is the critique and then the warming advantage. Actually, we'll take a couple seconds. 2 more. So 32. Anyone not good?
What's the order?
Critique, warming advantage.
Alright.
Order on the K is top down, at least on Nashville.
Yeah.
Good. Cool.
You have an ethical obligation to vote negative and reject the nuclear empire where you're winning an epistemological claim about how nuclear energy is employed as a biopolitical tool of global domination that results in endless wars, environmental devastation, and authoritarianism, none of which the TOC answers to the noise of 1AR does not get new answers to them. That warping individual subjectivities to support the nuclear military industrial complex under the guise of benevolent nuclear energy. It locks in a global system of colonialism and colonial exploitation and militarism because the empire has designed it to be so. The nuclear energy accelerates warming through waste, fallouts, accidents, mining, testing, and militarized government that sustain biopolitical crisis. That's the Luke evidence. Winning the ontology debate means that it is absolutely game over. It's a terminal solvency deficit and proves zero policy failure under their model. Nuclear exceptionalism proves the nuclear gene is not a neutral solution but a tool of imperialism that operates at the level of world-shaping power, not just technical policy making. So even if they're winning their individual advantages in this debate, they do not answer the broader thesis that nuclearity underlies what is motivating them, what is motivating this advantage to be true in the first place. The nuclear power is the empire's new frontier. The AFF is a utopian imagination of limitless energy that fails in a global regime of biological management that unleashes uneven and radicalized nuclear violence. Lack of a counter-interpretation framework means it's absolutely game over. You are evaluating this debate based on the epistemological underpinnings of the 1EC because that is what our Frederick interpretation has said. They have used their consequences to try and justify their epistemology. That's not how this debate works. You cannot say that because we've read an advantage that is not talking about extinction that automatically makes morality good. It's about how nuclear is structured and how that structure has resulted and manifested itself in the real world. Now they say group the impact because we didn't read extinction. Already did that. This also answers the ends justify the main argument because if you're talking about how we are epistemologically structuring debates, that means that the ends obviously do not justify the means because nuclear is bad, which was all the review about. They say that we can't read blanket stuff. They don't think any 1AR arguments because we aren't going for blanket stuff. I don't know what this is for. The no meltdowns argument is fine. We're not going to go for meltdowns as its own impact. They've conceded several others: authoritarianism, the system of capitalist growth, and other stuff. The energy is a form of stepping stone, the fossil fuel stuff. The alternative absolutely resolves it. I will extend it here. Brett, where is that? Okay. It's a prerequisite to add solvency. They conceded the biggest failure to protect the loss of nuclear renewables used as a tool of extraction and domination, creating zones of invisible sacrifice. Also, partially done the overview above. They did not make a permutation, so they have no game on this. The alternative is a literal rejection of material and epistemological underpinnings of nuclear energy. Now, they say that the government is going to control this stuff regardless of what Trump is going to do. The alt literally does not. The alt literally rejects government power investing in nuclear energy. So all their dissents about shifting to fossil fuels or whatever is zero, because a post-alternative, the government literally does not have control over these policies anymore. They say that it's better for waste, again, don't have to go for that impact, but they haven't answered the military part of alternative. Nuclear energy results in a shift towards militarization and nuclearization of weapons because of the fake lack of intertwining, i.e. the people try and convince us that they are not nuclear weapons, but they have conceded a thesis claim that nuclear energy and the nuclear industrial complex are one and the same, which is the impact stuff that is done above.
We've taken 113. We'll take prep starting.
Yeah, that's fine.
Wait, we took 113 and 117. That's 230.
Yeah, my bad.
There you go. Maybe the ontology weighing debate first. Then it'll be the AFF. Then it will be the K. Does that make sense?
What was it?
It'll be the weighing / ontology debate.
Gotcha.
Then it will be the AFF, and then it will be the critique. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The ontology claim does not matter. Your only argument is that you have to determine whether the structure of something is good. You've determined the structure of nuclear is bad. You've drawn the only objective way to determine if a structure is ontologically bad is to evaluate its consequences. There was 100% conceded claim on the last page. You cannot assert that nuclear has a bad structure, is ontologically bad, if you have not evaluated the specific consequences in the instantation of the AFF, because that should disprove your blanket index. You've dropped it, don't get blanket index. You can't apply past empirics to our specific AFF because it you just conceded that you can't. You're not answering this. You just said, what is this argument? Well, it was the argument that took out your ontology claim, or even if your ontology claim is true, you still have to use consequences first. You have dropped that we have good ontology and good consequences because we read the affirmative with the intention of going for the proxy wars impact, which we say avoids children being put as child soldiers in wars, avoids a bunch of people going to starvation, which means that even if they win ontology, you do have to evaluate the consequences of the affirmative and can't use past consequences first because they did not apply past consequences or empirics specific to our affirmative scenario, which means the only thing you can evaluate as the top shelf claim in this debate is the AFF scenario. The AFF scenario proper, I'll extend it. Oh crap, wrong document. China's ahead now because it's spending naval capabilities in the Pacific, affirming invest in nuclear energy that propels U.S. ships to operate there, which ensures deterrence. Otherwise, China is empowered to assert military action against regional countries. China consolidating forces are peaking in 2025 that causes U.S. drones, China encourages on American allies, which leads to which leads to proxy wars. They have not said anything. We'll extend C2 instead. American nuclear brothers really now stockpiles are agency declining American commitment to deterrence and firms for plutonium production, the byproduct uranium into plutonium bits, critical to upgrades for Americans' nuclear bombs capability. Otherwise, allies will proliferate because not only the U.S. has their nuclear umbrella for them anymore, which means they get nukes and start proxy wars because they feel more emboldened to go out and do bad things. There is no game from the K-links to the AFF because they do not get to indict or consequence it. They've only applied past and peers without specific explanations of why it takes out the umbrella argument, which means that we have the only weighing claim in this round, and yeah, that should be good. On their case. More weighing. Prolif outweighs 1. It's conceded that prolif cause proxy wars. Proxy wars are the most likely scenario for war, which stumps their authoritarianism and war arguments because countries can be more belligerent and aggressive so they don't have to risk their own lives. So more war happens with prolif, which is the only way in the round. Second, proxy wars are more frequent because they're smaller, they're easy to start, they require less planning, it means they happen faster. 3, proxy wars happen faster because things are already ongoing in the status quo and you can take advantage of other proxy wars that already exist to make them worse. Other K. The only specific application they made in the last speech were used as stepping stones for nuclear waste. That was the only game made on the AFF scenario about the umbrella. Unfortunately, they conceded that waste itself and meltdowns do not happen when they concede the probability of a meltdown is 0.05 and that we can recycle waste for the life cycle, which also takes out the ontology claim. Look, there is no reason why nuclear energy is bad, or there's no reason why nuclear's onslaught should be bad. Specifically in the context of the affirmative scenario, we extend the K proper. Turn on the all is drop. They've conceded their all is to reject nuclear energy and the underpinnings, but if you reject energy, then you have to invest in false fuels. They cannot feel that the government goes away because the government always wants to assert power over its people, especially if their ontology claim is true because the government will have control. Consider the all is fossil fuels, which cost 232 times more money to get the resource needs to do fossil fuels.
Okay, good for grand process. Yeah. Okay. That's the first. I have the first question.
Yeah.
So the ontology claim was significantly more than just waste. How does no meltdowns, no waste address the underlying thesis that nuclear energy is used to then advance the military like your first
ontology
mission?
claim is that it's unjust to use indigenous people as a stepping stone. Our response
that is one argument. As I explained card by card in first cross, every judge knows there's 3 arguments: totalitarian state, military control, and then also indigenous suffering.
This doesn't
we
make
are going
any
for
sense.
military.
Totalitarian state or military suffering is not about the U.S. specifically. But if you
Yes,
if you read the doc, you derive your ontology claims from using indigenous people as your stepping stone. That was also the
one link.
That is
we
one
made
link.
several more.
I beg you to read the doc. Please read
Okay, that's
Koso's
fine,
one.
that's fine.
It is
Anuj,
so
do you want me to
clear.
answer your question about what other stuff there was?
Wait, I didn't ask the question. You asked the question. Can I ask the question?
Yeah, go.
Okay, go
Wait,
ahead.
why is it ontologically bad to prevent children from fighting in war?
Well, the way that we've explained the
Wait,
alternative.
no, that's not my question. Why is it ontologically bad to do that? That's my question.
It's ontologically bad to advance nuclear energy
Wait, that's
as
not
it's
my
so
question.
clean.
That's not my question. Why is it bad to
I'm
ontologically
answering
prevent
your
children from
question.
dying in wars?
Dog, if you let him
Dude,
finish, you
okay. You are advancing nuclear energy as being good for the military. It's a distraction that nuclear energy is so clean, it helps these children. Oh my gosh, isn't it amazing? By the way, I'm also putting SMRs in naval ships. Oh yeah, I'm building Navy nuclear. Oh yeah, by the way, let's refurbish all of our nukes. So the ontological claim is you're using it as a distraction.
There's also a separate part of this. The way that the alternative was explained in the warrant, which we'll not answer, is that it explains the reason why China is going to do those proxy wars, which result in those things, because
Cameron,
it's
this does
about a
not answer
conquest
the
over
question.
energy.
Like, I know your strategy is just to explain the K every time you're asked a question, but it does not answer.
I don't know what else
why
you
are
want to
solving
do.
for child soldiers? Why is that ontologically
Wait,
bad?
irrespective of anything.
Because it's a distraction. You are not solving for child soldiers.
But
You
you
are
have to
saying
read
nuclear
defense
energy
to
is
the
so
link,
cool
though.
and awesome. Oh, also, I'm secretly putting it in the military.
Wait,
you have
this is
not
the- this is
answered
the
that
problem.
nuclear energy is a field to transitioning technologies to the
Last
military.
thing, the one
Wait, this is the problem. We read no
nuclear
blanket.
industrial military complex.
Wait, we read no blanket indicts in rebuttal and extended in some.
Your first and second contention are
I
indicts
got
that
two
have been
sentences
extended.
now. I got 2 sentences.
The one you see is the
Not everything is a chance to explain the K.
Okay. we read no blanket indicts in rebuttal and summary. So you cannot say we don't solve for the children who are dying in wars because you have to read specific leak defense.
Okay,
Otherwise, your K does not apply.
specific links, otherwise it doesn't apply. Your first contention, which we would point out in every single speech, is, hey, yay, SMRs is good. Let's make a stronger Navy so that we have dominance and control. Your second contention is, hey, nukes are going old.
But you have
Let's
to
make
prove
them
why-
better. That is the link.
But you have to prove why that wouldn't work.
No. More importantly, you have to prove why it causes, like, the killing of indigenous people, why it causes authoritarianism, why it causes wars. Like, the impact to your ontology claims is that it causes these things, which was not in any speech. I genuinely did not
That
hear
was
it.
like 2 minutes of the one, bro.
Alright,
I
that's
don't know what else you want me to do.
That's fine. You can take a question. Alright, that's
That's
4
4
times.
There's 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay, we got 32.
Okay. Alright. Order. It's going to be like the K, framing stuff, alt stuff, just a K, and then pretty much it. I'll talk about case and links on the K. The critique. It's just the critique. Like there will be cross applications like case links. Order will be, but it'll be on the K.
Got it. Thank you.
All right. Is anybody not ready? Okay. It is conceded in every single speech that you have an ethical obligation to vote NEG and reject the nuclear empire. We are winning an epistemological claim about nuclear energy is deployed as a biopolitical tool of global dominance that results in endless wars. This part of the thesis is done unanswered in every single speech. They are proving it through their first and second contention, where they are saying nuclear energy is great and awesome. Also, it's put in the Navy so that we have the strongest Navy and we have dominance. Also, nukes are aging. Why don't we fix that? Their app is the links that we are going for on how they are using energy to distract to go for stronger military. When you have a stronger military, the U.S. is doing endless interventionary wars. They're trying to have complete control as evidence of their first case being dominance. That leads to the endless interventionary wars. That's the reason there's all the proxy wars that they talk about. It's because of nuclear exceptionalism. When we're viewing nuclear energy as just a good thing because it's separate from nuclear war, but then using it to bring nukes into nuclear energy into the military and advanced military. They can see that we're warping individual subjectivity to support nuclear industrial military complex under the guise of benevolent nuclear energy that's helping other people, when in reality there's furthering a military industrial complex that is perpetuating endless wars and harms. Nuclear energy is locked in a global system of militarism because the empire is designed it this way. It accelerates warming through waste and all these. We're not going for that part. And then winning the ontology means game over. Its terminal will be skeptic and prove serial policy failure. Remember, they need to their research practice. They need to prove that their advocacies are good. They aren't because they allow for endless interventionary wars. Let's do the alt. Their ultimate is very bad here. There's no term because remember, our alt is not only reject nuclear investment, but rethink how, change how we think about the world to anti-nuclear resistance and through movements that are against the state control of energy. When we take away state control of energy and nuclear, that means guess what? The state can't invest in fossil fuels or anything else. The alt control solves all the app because now nuclear is out of the hands of the state. We are ruining state exceptionalism. We're getting rid of state exceptionalism. We're getting rid of the state's ability to just do whatever it's want and have complete control over energy and dominance. The meltdown and waste are not responsive to the war scenario of ontology that we've specifically gone for. It's been
Individual instances
unanswered.
of non-ontology not disprove it as a whole.
Yeah, individual instances of non-ontology is not proven as a whole. It's like, again, there's 3 separate parts of ontology that never once answered how they are perpetuating endless wars.
Sorry.
Ontology, decay, or case 1. Is anyone not ready? The way Final Focus justifies ontology is that it causes endless wars, which proves it is on the fact of what consequences it happens. They have conceded we are ontologically just because the consequence of our case is that we prevent children from dying in wars, which means if we can prove that our case is true or we win a turn to all, then we are also ethically fine and our research practices are fine. This is the only explanation got on Final Focus. On the K, they do not do enough time proving the alt would work because yes, they can fiat, we resist through remembering, but they have conceded the government always has an incentive to control energy demand in their world because they want to be able to control their people, they want to be able to control their people they control their people or assert power over their people, which means if you reject nuclear investment, you turn to other forms of investment, which the government has an incentive to do. This was the response that the alt is bad and alt fails because you switch to other forms of energy like fossil fuels, which they have conceded are far worse for mining, which means it causes more endless work for their talk about, and you still get the energy state, which means they're not winning offense on the K, and it turns the alt. It was not just enough to say they fiat the alt, they had to prove why the alt would work even if you fiat it. Case debate. Case is conceded. They have conceded that America's nuclear umbrella is falling now. Our stockpiles are aging, signaling a decline in American commitment to deterrence. Affirming first plutonium production is a byproduct of uranium creating plutonium pits critical to upgrades for American nuclear weapon capability. Otherwise, proliferation is impinged. Japan, Taiwan, Saudi Sea, NEG gives us leverage for arms control talks, which are getting rejected by China and Russia now. Look, we can concede the impact to the K. We do cause endless wars, but this was a debate about whose wars are worse. They have conceded that proxy wars win, that proxy wars are the worst because they happen most frequently. Because whenever you go into proxy wars, you don't have to intervene directly, which is what their wars are about. And they have conceded if you don't intervene directly, you are more belligerent because you are not risking the lives of your own people, which means even if their K is true and has an impact, this is a post-fiat substance debate, which means our war is worse than they've had to respond to the proxy war wing, which was not responded to. Second thing I want to point out, do I do? Yeah. Okay, I feel like this debate is like quite simple, right? Even if the K is true, the proxy war impact wing definitely outweighs. Oh, and also we don't have zero offense because they've conceded, like both sides agree that war will happen in their world because they've conceded that allies are getting scared right now, which means they will proliferate, which means war also happens in the world of the K. So this was a debate about whose wars were better. We're winning the wing. We have turned to the alt. You don't vote ontology. It's super poorly explained. It was ontologically fine to ensure that children are not dying in wars.
Good debate. Good debate, y'all. And thank you all for judging.
Are y'all okay if I use the bathroom? Is that fine?
No.
Okay.
And I'm gonna make sure that my RFP takes 40 minutes to type out. So
Yeah, you go into the restroom is gonna make them spit a ballot against you.
I'm always.
That's fast.
Was any of the 1AC new just for